You know what's harder than losing 31 billion pounds? Actually finding 31 billion pounds in the first place. Most of us can't even keep track of a tenner in our jeans pocket. But Keir Starmer? He's just managed to fumble an entire trade deal worth more than some countries' GDP. The UK-US technology partnership, AI, quantum computing, nuclear energy, the works, was supposed to be the crown jewel of post-Brexit Britain's global ambitions. It was going to create jobs, boost growth, make us look like serious players on the world stage. And now, it's deader than the Chancellor's promise not to raise taxes. Donald Trump pulled the plug, walked away, took his 31 billion quid and went home. And the most shocking part? Nobody in Britain is even surprised. Welcome back to UK Political Insight, and today we're diving into how Keir Starmer managed to achieve the impossible, polling worse than Liz Truss while simultaneously destroying what's left of Britain's international credibility. Strap in, because this one's a proper car crash. Let's start with the basics, yeah? This wasn't some minor trade agreement about exporting biscuits or importing plastic garden furniture. This was a mega deal focused on cutting-edge technology, artificial intelligence, quantum computing, nuclear energy cooperation, the kind of stuff that sounds like it belongs in a sci-fi film but is actually the future of economic growth. 31 billion pounds worth of American investment and collaboration. For context, that's roughly the same as the entire annual budget of the Ministry of Defense. It's not pocket change, it's transformational money, the kind of deal that creates tens of thousands of high-skilled jobs, positions Britain as a tech powerhouse, and gives us something to actually brag about at international summits instead of just apologizing for our weather and our train system. And Starmer lost it. Not through some unavoidable act of God, not because of a global pandemic or a meteor strike, but because Donald Trump looked at the situation and thought, you know what? I don't trust this guy. I don't trust his government. I don't think Britain is a stable enough partner right now. And honestly, can you blame him? Trump is a lot of things. Subtle is not one of them. When he pulls out of a deal this publicly, this dramatically, he's sending a message. And that message is Britain under Keir Starmer is not a serious country to do serious business with. Now, before anyone accuses me of being some Trump superfan, let's be clear. This isn't about whether you like the man or not. This is about what his decision tells us about how the rest of the world sees Britain right now. Because politics, like business, runs on confidence. You don't close billion-pound deals because you woke up in a good mood. You close them because you believe the other party can deliver, that they're stable, that they're credible. Trump looked at Starmer and saw none of those things. He saw a prime minister who's hemorrhaging public support faster than a punctured balloon, who's broken manifesto promises like they were New Year's resolutions, and who seems to spend more time trying to please Brussels than actually governing Britain. That's not the profile of someone you lock into a multi-decade technology partnership with. Here's where it gets properly grim for Starmer. He's not just losing the confidence of the British public, though he absolutely is, we'll get to that in a second, he's losing the confidence of our most important international ally. The special relationship between the UK and the US isn't some dusty relic from World War II that we trot out for state dinners. It's the foundation of British foreign policy, our security architecture, our economic strategy. When America decides you're not worth the hassle, that's a catastrophic failure of leadership. And it's not like Starmer can claim he was blindsided. The warning signs have been everywhere. Let's talk about those domestic polling numbers because they're absolutely bonkers. Keir Starmer is currently polling worse than Liz Truss. Read that again. Worse than Liz Truss, the woman who was prime minister for less time than it takes most people to finish a tub of Quality Street, the woman whose economic policies crashed the pound and tanked pension funds, the woman who became a punchline so quickly that lettuce-based comparisons became a legitimate form of political commentary. Starmer has somehow managed to be less popular than her. That's not just bad, that's historically, spectacularly, impressively terrible. When your approval ratings are lower than someone who essentially set the economy on fire and then ran away, you've got a serious problem. And here's the thing, it's not hard to understand why. Starmer ran on a platform of competence, stability, and being the adult in the room after years of conservative chaos. He promised he wouldn't raise taxes on working people. He promised economic growth. He promised to be different from the Tories, to actually deliver for ordinary Britons who've been squeezed for over a decade. And what have we got instead? Stealth tax rises that hit working people right in the wallet. National insurance hikes for employers that are already causing job losses. An economy that's flatlining while unemployment ticks upward. Businesses and wealthy individuals fleeing the country because the tax environment has become so hostile. Energy bills still through the roof. The NHS still in crisis. It's like he took the Tory playbook, added a Labour rosette, and expected everyone to be thrilled about it. But wait, there's more. Because it's not just the economy. Starmer's government has been lurching from crisis to crisis like a drunk person trying to navigate a revolving door. There was the winter fuel payment scandal, where they cut support for pensioners and then acted shocked when people got angry about it. There's been the constant flip-flopping on relations with the EU. Are we diverging? Are we aligning? Does anyone actually know? The mixed messages on immigration that manage to annoy both people who want tougher borders and people who want a compassionate system. The ongoing civil war within the Labour Party between the Blairites and the left wing. The sense that nobody is actually in charge, that policy is being made up on the fly, that there's no coherent vision beyond survive until the next PMQs. Now, let's swing back to this trade deal because the collapse tells us something really important about Starmer's strategic vision, or rather his complete lack of one. Post-Brexit Britain, whatever you think about Brexit itself, was supposed to have one clear advantage: regulatory freedom. We're outside the EU, which means we can set our own standards, make our own trade deals, position ourselves as a nimble, attractive partner for countries around the world. The Anglosphere, the US, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, was supposed to be our natural trading bloc. Shared language, shared legal traditions, shared cultural ties. Doing a massive tech deal with America should have been the easiest win imaginable. So why did it fall apart? Because Starmer has spent his entire premiership trying to have it both ways. He wants access to the EU single market, so he's been making noises about regulatory alignment with Brussels. He wants to keep the left wing of his party happy, so he's been cautious about being seen as too cozy with Trump. He wants to position Britain as a serious global player, but he's unwilling to make the tough choices that actually enable that. The result is paralysis. America looks at Britain and sees a country that doesn't know what it wants, that can't make decisions, that's trying to please everyone and convincing no one. Trump values clarity above all else. He wants to know where you stand, what you're offering, what you'll deliver. Starmer couldn't give him that, so Trump walked. And honestly, let's be brutally honest about the optics here. Trump is not a diplomatic man. He doesn't do subtle. When he pulls out of a deal this publicly, this dramatically, he's sending a message. He's saying Britain under Keir Starmer is weak, unreliable, not worth the investment. That's humiliating on a national level. This isn't like a quiet negotiation that fizzles out behind closed doors. This was a very public collapse of what was supposed to be a flagship achievement. Every other country watching this, China, India, the EU, everyone, is taking notes. They're seeing that Britain couldn't close a deal with its closest ally. They're seeing that Starmer's government is politically fragile. They're wondering whether it's worth investing time and political capital into negotiations that might not go anywhere. The special relationship isn't some birthright. It's not some automatic thing where America has to be nice to us because of shared history. It has to be earned, cultivated, maintained. Churchill understood that. Thatcher understood that. Blair understood that for all his many, many faults. Even Boris Johnson, chaotic disaster that he was, understood the importance of the U.S. relationship. Starmer seems to have forgotten it entirely. Or maybe he just doesn't have the political capital to prioritize it. When you're underwater in the polls, when your own backbenchers are grumbling, when the media is circling, when voters are turning against you, you don't have the freedom to think long-term. You're stuck in survival mode. And survival mode doesn't make for good international diplomacy. Here's the really depressing part. This deal wasn't just about money. It was about positioning Britain at the forefront of the technologies that will define the next century. Artificial intelligence isn't some distant future concept. It's here now, transforming everything from healthcare to finance to manufacturing. Quantum computing is going to revolutionize cybersecurity, drug discovery, climate modeling. Nuclear energy is essential for hitting net zero targets while keeping the lights on. These are the industries where Britain could genuinely lead, where we have world-class universities, brilliant researchers, innovative companies. A partnership with America on these fronts would have turbocharged all of that. It would have attracted more investment, more talent, more innovation. It would have made Britain a destination, not a departure point. Instead, we're watching businesses pack up and leave. We're seeing entrepreneurs move to Dubai or Singapore or Miami because the tax environment here has become punishing. We're seeing tech companies choose to expand in Europe or the US instead of Britain. We're seeing the brain drain accelerate. And now we've lost what should have been the signature achievement that reversed all of that. It's a disaster, an unforced error of staggering proportions. The comparisons to Liz Truss are inevitable, and they're brutal. Truss crashed the economy with a reckless mini-budget and was gone in weeks. Starmer is presiding over a slower motion collapse, death by 1,000 cuts instead of one catastrophic explosion. But the end result might be the same. A prime minister who promised competence delivering chaos, a government that promised stability creating uncertainty, a leader who's lost the confidence of both the public and the international community.